movies. I worked as a stunt performer on Smallville, and before that, you know, I was in high school, getting through college. I was a boxer and got into MMA, and it was a small-time MMA fight. You know, one of those ones you have in the hotel ballrooms. You know, and I took one solid kick to the ribs and cracked my ribs and punctured my lung, and I went, you know, 6.5 minutes without oxygen, and that caused me to have what they call cerebral palsy. I didn't know you could get that. That wasn't something that I always thought you were born with something like that. Apparently, your motor cortex can be damaged at any time. So, you know, the spastic nature of everything is literally electrical signals from your brain are misinterpreted by your motor cortex, and you know, you essentially have to relearn how to do the things you would do without thinking, because those pathways don't work anymore. So, you know, it took me, gosh, it was almost a good solid 2 years before I, you know, was feeling a little more like myself. You know, because you go through the stages. You're like, you know, I had these plans, and this was what I was going to do, and it didn't work that way. Oh crap! And I'm cleaning up my language because I noticed we got some young folks in here. So usually there'd be more F-bombs, but you know, I'm inherently a problem solver. All right, so I'm like, okay, well, this is the new normal. Okay, so what can I do now? So obviously I couldn't work stunts anymore. There's not much work for a stunt guy who can't really move. No. So you know, I went and my buddy Chris that Jim was mentioning, we actually met while we were filming something over across the country. We worked on a film called Transporter. Statham's stick, right? He was a stunt driver, and I was part of the stunt performer crew. And so we were in the tent, and we met and learned that we lived about 2.5 hours from each other, which is rare considering how far we were from home. And so we became friends after that. And I don't know if you know this, stunt guys don't get paid very well. You get your stipend, right? You have your rate. Like if you're working on a series, you can get a steady paycheck. You know, if you're part of the regular stunt crew, which I had for a little while, but Smallville, you know. But on a film, you basically make what you make, and that's it. It's basically being a 1099 employee. So there's really, unless you're in with a production company, it's feast or famine, like running a small business, basically. So, you know, when Chris and I started hanging out, we became roommates. Then, yeah, when we had to get jobs to make sure the rent was paid, we kind of ran in the same circles. And so, you know, even after my accident, I couldn't get him to go away. So we were. This was kind of the way we rolled. And you know, I remember the event we were at. We were promoting an independent film that another friend, a mutual friend of ours, was making. Absolutely. And we all went to dinner afterwards. Had to be what, 12:30. I'm like, it's way past my bedtime. I'm too old for this. But we were there, and like you said, he kind of told the story, and you know, I still don't know exactly how it works, right? I think that it does. I think that it was referred to as witchcraft for a while. Yeah. But we put it on, right? And you know, because I can still get up out of the chair every once, you know, and I'll show you. It's not always easy, but I can get up, you know. And it was funny. I took a few steps, and you know, it was almost felt different. Like I'm like, this is a little higher than I'm usually seeing in the world. And so I'm walking the restroom, and I'm walking back, and you know, everyone's smiling and laughing. I couldn't figure out what it was that they were laughing at. And he's like, I'm like, I feel like I'm standing up straighter. And Chris said, well, that's because you are. And
we were all laughing with him because when he first got up out of the chair, he was, kind of curled over.
Yeah.
And as he took his steps, he straightened right out. And when 20 people watch somebody straighten as they walk,
I don't see myself doing any high kicks anytime soon, but the fact that I can walk through a straight line without stumbling is an accomplishment. So, I've been wearing my, the freedom patch and the victory.
Freedom and victory
is, what I'm wearing now. And I gotta tell you, I noticed the difference. I can walk around the house, typically in my household, the old way of doing things is I don't usually use a chair in the house because it's usually a coordinated stumble from one piece of furniture to the other, so I've noticed that since I've been wearing it, I don't stumble around the house. I don't have to catch myself on something as much, right?
That's great.
So I have two little kids, I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old, and they are boys, and they're messy, because that's what boys are, and I can't tell you, I walk down the hallway, because we have ceramic tiles throughout the whole house, and my sons would spill a glass of water, or they'd drop a popsicle, or a piece of popsicle on the floor and not clean it up. I'd pivot, and I would fall. And
Matchbox cars, Legos.
yeah, goddamn Lego, sorry about my
Right.
But since I've been doing it, I haven't had that the
sensation of stumbling.
Yeah, like it's not something that is constant anymore. I'm not leaning on things to keep my balance.
Yeah.
I'm able to do it. I'm still not marathon ready, but I think I was telling Jim last night that we had some friends of ours that we had met at a convention, because one of the other movies that Chris worked on was Transformers, and this was right after my injury. He got me on as an assistant stunt coordinator for that film also.
For Transformers.
So for Transformers, the first and second. And so we were at an event called TFCon. So we were there, we were signing autographs, meeting people that were fans of the movie, and we became really close friends with them, and they lived on the East Coast of Florida. And so they came down 4 hours to visit with us for the weekend.
Last weekend.
Yeah, last weekend. Mm-hmm. And they were at their Airbnb, and they want to go to a restaurant, which is like a half a mile, 3/4 mile away. And they're like, oh, we'll walk it. And they said, do you want to get the chair? And I said, you know what? Let's, for shits and giggles, let's try to not use the chair. And so I ended up walking the entire way.
Wow, that's fantastic.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
I almost told that in the beginning, because
That's
when he told me last
amazing.
night that he hadn't walked like a mile or two in years. How many years?
Oh God.
Since it.
God, it has to be 3 or 4, because it's the thing about being a stunt guy is the CP is one injury, but all the other things I did up until that point are now in my 40s starting to show themselves. You get set up on these decelerators where you're on wires and you drop from 15 feet. Your knees are gonna feel it. Maybe not in your 20s, but now in my 40s, on top of the CP. I get massive joint pain in my knees. I've had torn ACLs. I've had my ankle come out.
Oh, goodness.
So but that's what insurance is for. Unfortunately, this happened on set, so didn't get the same level of coverage. But it's I've noticed even with that, it's helping a lot.
Putting a freedom patch on the leg, on the knee.
Yep.